Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today taking a look at Forza Horizon 2 on the Xbox One, which just released yesterday, and I've been looking forward to Forza Horizon 2 very much. I was a huge fan of the original Horizon, and I am a massive fan of the Forza Motorsport series, so this was like Christmas, I'll be honest. Forza Horizon to me was one of the best spin-offs of like a mainstream type title, I guess you could say, ever. And there's so many games that in the past have gotten their own sort of small spin-offs with another developer working on them, and they never seem to catch the same sort of success as the original title. That definitely hasn't been the case with the Horizon series. The first one was pretty well recognized, and I think that Horizon 2 has already sort of shown itself to be a massive improvement over the original, and also just a massive improvement on the Forza series as a whole, considering that Horizon 2 features the very first time that we actually see weather effects, rain, introduced into the Forza Motorsport series. And of course Horizon, the original Horizon, also brought nighttime racing into the mix. So hopefully these are elements that we will see drip over into the Forza Motorsport series, because sadly Forza 5 still does not have either of those things. But here we are, out in the open world, in the lands of Europe. This is where the new map for Horizon 2 takes place. And one of the things that I want to talk about, or that I want to say right off the bat, is that if you had any doubt in your mind that this was going to be a great game and you didn't pick it up because you were concerned, push those concerns aside, because Horizon 2 is probably one of the best racing games you will play all year. Unless Drive Club comes along and somehow just stomps it to pieces. But however, Drive Club is a PlayStation exclusive, and Forza Horizon 2 is an Xbox exclusive. So hopefully Drive Club can really bring its A game to the table, so we can have two great social type racing experiences on the PlayStation 4 and one on the Xbox One. That would be absolutely fantastic. But one of the best things about Horizon 2 is this gorgeous map. Let's take a look at the world map. Now, I do not have all of the world map unlocked yet. I've only been playing the game for about 4 or 5 hours, and you'll see that there's a bunch of different locations. We have France over here with all of its own little places, Sisteron, we got Saint Martin, and then if we move this way, we've got Italy, Italia, San Giovanni, Montalino, we're down to the Horizon Festival, Castelletto. So the map is actually broken up into a couple different locations, and you actually, during the course of the Horizon Festival, will travel between them in what are these small sort of casual events known as road trips. They're about 10 miles, or depending on the distance, and you basically just spend time driving from point A to point B with all of the other Horizon Festival racers, you know, just kind of putting on a show for everybody. And it's just a nice break from the normal routine, or what they could have done, which could have been just, you know, teleport you. Yeah, they'll just send you over there, we'll just send you there. Anyhow, let's take a look at the map quickly and see where we are and start to play the game a little bit. So we're actually sitting right on top of a bucket list, which is something that I definitely want to show you guys, so we're going to go ahead and check that out. Let's get back into our car. Now, bucket lists are probably one of the coolest small additions to the Horizon experience. Basically, you have this massive list, which is a bucket list. I'm not sure how many numbers are on it just yet, but as you stumble across the open world of Europe, racing or doing whatever, you will fall upon these bucket lists. They actually each have their own difficulty levels, ranging from easy to hard, and they're basically just grin-inducing, 1 minute moments where you get to drive really awesome super or hyper cars. So this is actually the Veneno one, Lamborghini Veneno, so we're going to go ahead and do it. I'll show you guys it. Now, I think the thing that makes these so special is they put this really big focus on, like, these are hyper cars, these are super cars, these are the rarest of the rarest, cars like this, and the Koenigsegg Agero is the other one that I had to do, that are just immensely awesome vehicles to drive. Then they throw you into them and say, hey, just drive really fast and have a good time. It's not going to last long, but we think you're going to enjoy it. And that makes the bucket list just like a bucket list should be. What isn't actually a bucket list? Things you want to do before you die, because they're really damn awesome. And I would say that this definitely qualifies as a legitimate bucket list, driving one of these. Even though it's in a game, they do a damn good job of it. Let's not crash into that pole. We did. It's okay. Now you're going to notice there's a lot of things happening on the top of my screen in terms of the XP. You see that 1550 right now. We got 2170. So the game has a very strong emphasis on its experience and its skill system. We actually were too slow for that one. Sadly, I've already completed it. We'll back out so I can talk a little bit about this. Now, rather than just having the normal time-based racing mechanics in past Forza series, Horizon takes a tip from the Project Gotham racing series of the past. If you guys are familiar with PGR, it used a kudos system which rewarded you for doing things like drifting, clean racing, clipping the apex, close calls. That system is sort of here inside of Horizon 2. So while you're racing, you're not only, you know, earning points just for winning and credits for earning or for winning, you're earning experience by driving with skill. Skill can be anything from, you know, going through a speed trap like we just did, power sliding, e-braking, drifting, e-drifting, doing a 180, close calls, you name it. And that allows you to build up an actual combo string. Now, as long as you don't crash into another car or another player, that combo string will continue to build up and build up. And you can actually get a combo string from smashing into things. It is ridiculous. One of the cool things, though, that the system is actually utilized for is during online races, it is possible to win, to beat someone who is in first place, perhaps when you say you're in third place, by actually having a higher skill score than they do. A very, very interesting way of changing the way that the online racing works. Where is this guy? We're gonna let me show you guys something right now. This guy's doing the same thing I'm doing, which is racing about the roundabout. There he is. So the world is populated with drivatars. Drivatars are something that were introduced inside of Forza 5. It's basically this really advanced system that gathers all of this data from you, the player, and other players while they're playing the game online. It then puts that into an AI driver. It mimics, you know, the way you take corners, the way you handle different situations when passing. It puts all those things into a drivatar, which is then always out in the open world, racing around, racing you and other people in races. And drivatar was just like the best implementation to a racing game ever. I'm so happy that Turn 10 brought it to the table with Forza 5, because it makes playing against AI, which they're not really AI, again, they are essentially the driving profiles of your friends and other players out in the world. It just makes it a really, really unpredictable, sometimes predictable experience, because if you play the game online enough and you have name tags on, you're going to start to recognize certain drivers, and you're going to be able to actually identify that, hey, I know how this person drives. I know how my friend Sergeant Duke drives, for example. I raced against him all the time. I understand how he brakes, when he brakes, how he corners, and I can use that to my advantage. Now, of these drivatars that are out in the open world of Europe, there will be one like this pro drivatar in front of us. They again have 3 difficulty levels, ranging from easy to medium to pro. We can actually just go up and challenge this guy. That's what we're going to do. We're going to hit the menu button. We're instantly thrown into a point-to-point race. He's in an Aston Martin V12. I don't know if we're going to be able to beat him, to be honest. He's in a pretty quick car, and we're in a WRX STI, which is fast, but it's not that fast. Basically, though, you go ahead, you challenge these. The higher the difficulty level, the greater the reward in terms of credit and experience. And that's just it. I mean, it's that small itch. You're driving out in the open world, all of a sudden you come upon another racer, and rather than just having, you know, people populating the world, you can actually interact with them in some way. Would I like to see them do a bit more, perhaps, you know, drag races at stoplights, things like that? Yeah, I mean, this to me, though, is the idea that they want players to spend time out in the open world driving around. It's obvious. The game does a really good job of saying, hey, why don't you just drive there? That's why it actually costs credits to fast travel. It's not a substantial amount, but over time, if you did constantly just fast travel, it would start to eat away at your funds. And that's not really what Turn 10, that's not really what Playground Games wants the player to do. They want you to get out and drive the cars. They want you to enjoy the world that they've created, because they've done an exceptional job with it, without a doubt. And that is sort of the point of having those smaller activities that you can only really find by actually being out on the road, and of course driving about and challenging those drivatars. To me, that is just a really, really nice reward. I'm a huge fan of it, and it reminds me very much of back in the day in Midnight Club Los Angeles, how you could just sort of challenge people to a street race out on the open highway simply by flashing your lights. Very nice touch, and it's one of the big things for me that Horizon 2 does a lot, is throw a lot of small bits everywhere you go. To me, that's great game design. That means you had enough time to finish everything you wanted to in your core design, and then you said, what cool stuff can we do, you know? Well, what can we do to make the game just feel a little bit more special? It's like power parking in Burnout Paradise back in the day. That was like the most ridiculous thing when you discovered that actually existed. Let's pull over here, though. We'll take a break from talking about the racing and the driving, and we're actually going to make our way to the garage. So we can just I'll just briefly show you guys what that's all about. I mean, for the most part, it's everything you'd come to expect. We now have full tuning in Horizon 2, so all of the tuning that you were able to do in the Forza Motorsport series in the past, Forza 5 and Forza 4, you can now do in the world of Horizon. So Nice bit of change there. In terms of the gameplay and the mechanics and how Horizon 2 feels, it still has all of those same, simulations, tire simulation, and all that crazy, hardcore, ridiculous level of detail put into the cars that the Forza series has always passed, or always had, but it doesn't feel more arcadey. It just feels more friendly, I guess would be the best way to put it. And I think that it makes sense in this game because Horizon 2 isn't supposed to be, oh, that guy just crashed right into me. This guy's plowing behind me. Silly drivatars. It's not supposed to be the hardcore racing sim. That's what Forza 5 is. This is supposed to be a different take, a more social and a more interactive, again, I don't want to say casual, but a more maybe exploratory, a more fun experience. Fun in a different way. Forza Motorsport 5 is fun because it's hardcore, it's difficult, and you're rewarded for putting a lot of time into it and developing your own set of skills and understanding how the game functions. Forza Horizon 2 is fun because it has you whipping cars through hedges and blindly through vineyards at 150 miles an hour and slamming out on the highway just in time to pass the guy who's in first place and claim the podium. Anyways, here we have the garage. Again, everything you'd come to expect from the Forza game. We can tune, we can check out our other cars, we can go to design and paint, we can throw upgrades. Barn finds also return. I haven't really had a chance to experience these. Hopefully, they've somehow made them a little bit more rewarding and interesting than Horizon. The original Horizon was, because they kind of felt blah in the first Horizon. But going up into our upgrades, we can do auto upgrades, we can load previous upgrades. Of course, we have all of the available options to us. We can engine, platform and handling, drivetrain, tires and rims, aero and appearance, and we can also do different conversions, front wheel drive to rear wheel drive, different engines, and aspiration conversions. So plenty to do here. The painting is still there. You can create vinyls. All of the things that you've come to love from Forza are still here, which is of course a very, very good thing. We also have the auto show where we can buy cars. I am astounded by some of the vehicles that they've managed to put in this game. We have things like the I believe it's the Liberty Motors, I can't remember, the crazy rally fighter. I think it's Liberty Motors Rally Fighter. There's Land Rovers, there's Jeeps, there's, the Bowler Nemesis. There is a lot of really cool selection in the vehicles. And there's quite a lot of cars there actually available to you as well. I like how there's that focus because this isn't just a game about racing on the road anymore. In fact, that's one of the biggest things for me about this is if we just blast down this road here, I mean, you're going to notice that we're on a road, but we don't have to stay on the road. We can cut across, we can go over that way. And that makes staying on the road actually that much more special for some reason. The idea that rather than blasting across every single apex of every single corner just because I can, perhaps I just want to drive about and actually follow the road and stick to it and see how well I can drive on the road at ridiculously high speeds. Oh, there we go. Let's grab another bucket list while we're doing this. It makes driving in an open world more satisfying. As crazy as that may sound, it really, really does. Here's another bucket list, though. I believe this is the Koenigsegg one. You can see we've already completed it. So let's go ahead and do this, just because driving cars in this game is really damn fun. I mean, come on, that's kind of the point of it all, right? Drive cars, have a good time. Beat the speed target in the most ridiculous and twitchy, hyper-powered car of all time. I love the dashboard in this thing. It is ultra spaceship. Alright, here we go. Thank you, Anna. Anna, by the way, who is also our GPS and navigational assistant, is actually voice commanded, so luckily she's unavailable, otherwise she would have heard me because I said her name. And you can actually use her on the fly to instantly point you to the next objective or the closest race, so you don't have to actually go into the map. It works nice. It's again a small detailed use of the Kinect that isn't annoying. It isn't immersion breaking. It's not irritating. You just say Anna, and she says yes. How can I help you? And then she'll give you some options. She might actually suggest when you jump back into the game, she will suggest that you were doing something already. Would you like her to set a marker so you can continue doing that? And you just say yes or no. Small touches. It's the small things. So success, we've already completed that one. Again, the bucket list are just a nice way of mixing it up, giving you things to do when you're out in the world just exploring. And as I was talking about before, the hardest thing for me when I play any sort of open world game, whether it be a racing game, actually let's talk about this right now. Every time you level up, you get a free wheel spin. That wheel spin can grant you credits or actually a free car even. So we'll actually go ahead and we'll use our free wheel spin. The game tries to reward you often, not just with money, but with possible cars. And I think that, to me, that is a big focus that Playground Games was trying to make, was saying that it's not about unlocking things. It's not about getting the next car. It's not about getting credits. We're going to give you that stuff in heaps. It's about experiencing what Horizon 2 has to offer. So let's get away from this first before we go ahead and... Alright, so we're going to go start, and we'll go into progress here. And we'll go into our wheel spin. And we also have a point for the perks, so I can show you guys the perks, which are pretty damn awesome. So we got 15,000 credits. We could have gotten like a huge jackpot. We could have got another car. Every time you level up, you get one of those. Now at the same time, as you level up throughout the game, every certain number of levels, you're going to gain skill points, which can then be spent on perks. As you unlock those perks, it will span further into different sections of the sort of perk square here. Basically, all of these perks, they just reward you with more credits, more experience. You see, we can get double rewards from your daily driver tower payouts. Your clean streak and clean start scores are increased by 25. So the more that you play the game, again, the more easy they're going to make it to level up and to gain credits. You can see that that is not really a hardcore focus of the game. The focus of the game is to simply experience all the things it has to offer. So we're going to go ahead and we'll go with your destination vote counts for 2 in an online road trip. That's actually cool. You can change the way the online works a little bit. I think we'll do 25% more credits in head-to-heads, because I actually like doing those quite a bit. Those are really, really fun. And you see that's now unlocked a whole nother set here. So we have Immune. That's going to change the way we play Infected. 25% more credits from tuning and paint downloads. So again, you're getting credits from people actually downloading your tunes and your paints again. That is the highlight of this game for me, is small details all over the place. Really, really is a big focus on that kind of thing. And now you'll notice we haven't really done too many races. I feel like I could have shown you a race, and that would have been great. But for me, this has been the most fun I've had in Horizon 2. The races are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love them. They've brought back showcases, so I actually already did one where I was able to race in a Ferrari Tricolore against a squadron of fighter pilots who also were flying the same colors as the Tricolore, the Italian flag stripe style colors. So showcases are back. Those are still really cool, but blasting about in this open world is really damn fun. And again, you have that diversity that this map offers. We can go from these, farmlands and the vineyards. We can blast over to France and hit into the city if we want to. There are so many places we can go with such a wide variety of driving terrain. It makes just cruising about in the open world really, really fun. Not to mention, eventually it's going to get dark and it's going to start to rain, and things are going to get all slippery and wet, and it's going to be really freaking awesome. Now, well, pretty much for the most part, I've been showing you guys the single player. I mean, at any given time, we can play multiplayer, though. We're not restricted. We can hop online. We can hop into an online free roam. And I think the online free roam in Horizon 2 it just reminds me so much of what Burnout Paradise did. If you're familiar with Burnout Paradise, you would go into an online lobby, and then you would just rip around the world, whether it be in the cars or on the bikes when those released. And then you could go from event to event or challenge to challenge, and then everyone would take turns maybe completing a challenge, or you'd participate in a race with all the people that were in the party. It works just like that in Horizon 2. So basically we would hit start, we would go over into the social hub, and we would say online road trip or online free roam. So again, the road trip is the idea that you just do a really long drive, 10 miles from point A to point B. You can do that with a bunch of friends. Or you can go into an online free roam. Everybody can just bounce around. Someone can go ahead and start up a race or start up a small lobby within that free roam. Everyone can join it and then race with each other. This is this is the ideal way for clubs to be really, really successful in Forza Horizon 2. Clubs in the past have always been really great, but they required players to have like other means, like a forum or something like that, or everybody hop into party chat and then try and organize these things. Now you can just have a bunch of people in the club, start an online free roam, a private online session, throw out invites, everyone just gets in and you just go. You go from there. You go into the mountains, you do some togue racing. It's all on the fly. It's all seamless. It just makes social interaction so much easier. And again, if you're in a club, you're instantly going to reap the rewards from that system. So a lot of really intelligent design in Horizon 2. There's not much negative I have to say about the game. In fact, it's probably the most fun I've had in a racing game in a very, very long time. Ooh, dirt road. Dirt road. As I was saying, I love hunting down some dirt roads. Look at this. Look at this guy in this Fiat Abarth. And just blasting down him, seeing how long I can stick with the road. And it's just a really satisfying game. It really genuinely is. And the crazy thing the entire time I've been playing Horizon 2 is I just kept thinking about the crew and how, for me personally, Horizon 2 has made the crew essentially a null. I just don't care about it because in many ways Horizon 2 has done a lot of the things that the crew wanted to accomplish. It's just done them far better and in a much more polished and at a much higher level of production. You look at the crew. Big open world map, great. Filled with a lot of tedious and boring events that are made even more dull by the fact that the driving mechanics and the systems inside of the crew just aren't satisfying. I know it's an arcade title, but it's still, the time I spent with the beta, and again, this may make this opinion completely invalid to some people because I said I did play the beta, it just didn't feel great, and I don't think there's any amount of tweaking they can do to really make the crew a better game. Some people will enjoy it, no doubt, but if I was going to play the crew with a group of friends, and my group of friends also happen to own Xbox Ones, I would say, let's get Forza Horizon 2 instead. Because we have this smaller, more dense, more well-designed world that is filled with more interesting cars, more interesting systems, and it's just going to provide, in general, a much more entertaining multiplayer experience. Well, that guy is flying. That guy is flying. The world does, in fact, feel very, very alive in Horizon 2. You cannot fault it there, not one bit. So, for those of you who own an Xbox One, I really cannot recommend Horizon 2 enough. Oh, let's climb into the city here. I mean, it is like the racing game for me right now. I love my Forza Motorsport, but there was something about the original Horizon to me that was just like, this is going in a really good direction. I can't wait to see what they do with this. And if that's the one complaint that I can make about Horizon 2, it's that while there are a lot of really cool ideas and systems, and I definitely need to play more of the game to see what else is hidden here, I still feel that they could have pushed it even further, especially considering the way that they've done the multiplayer. I would have liked to see more of an integrated MMO style experience like the crew is trying to do. That is the one big thing the crew is going for, is trying to make it so the world is open and you're always running into real players. I would like to see something like that apart, and rather than just having, you know, the free roam lobby, why not have, you know, the instance world where people can just kind of run into each other out in the open world rather than their drivatars. Again, drivatars are really cool, but hey, it'd be really awesome to just run into people out in the open world. So if that's the one thing I had to say negative about Horizon 2 right now, it's that the game could have been a little bit more ambitious, but it doesn't change the fact that it's one hell of a driving experience. I recommend it to anyone who owns an Xbox One. If you've been sitting around, you know, sort of thinking about whether or not you want to try and spark your interest in racing games or perhaps in cars as a whole, I really cannot recommend Horizon 2 enough. There is a demo for it available on the Xbox Live Marketplace, so if you don't feel like just dropping the cash straight up, play the demo, see what you think about it, and hopefully you'll enjoy your time with Horizon 2 as much as I have. And of course, in the coming weeks, coming months, I actually forget when it's going to be releasing, we'll be taking a look at Drive Club on the PlayStation 4, and hopefully Sony can, you know, can have their own sort of awesomeness with Drive Club, and we'll have two great games, one on each platform. I mean, you just really can't go wrong with hoping that that is how things pan out. If you have any questions about Forza Horizon 2, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you're a Sony person, let me know, how stoked are you for Drive Club? That guy just absolutely smashed my car to bits. And let me know in general what you think of what you've seen here with Horizon. And I'll see you in the next one.